When I do free motion embroidery, I tend to use a thick cotton fleece, slightly rougher one side than the other, so you take your preference. And what I tend to do is I hand paint it initially, just to give me my basic colours, shapes and composition. And this fabric is dry and it doesn't bleed because it's very woolly. So I will paint my composition on, and you won't really see this because this is going to be completely covered over by free motion embroidery, but it does mean that when you have a little gap between your stitching, then you will just see the colour that you've painted underneath rather than the white, unless if the white is what you want. And now actually the surface of the cloth is now actually very wet. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to leave it. Doesn't need to be overworked because I'm going to stitch over the top of it and also applique some pieces of fabric over it. So now I'm just going to hang it out to dry and work on it later. I use Bonder web to stick my fabrics down onto the backgrounds that I use. Bonder web, I buy it on a roll, is a very fine kind of tracing like type paper, and on one side it's rough and that's the sticky side, and it's basically just a glue. So I cut it out and I put the sticky side down onto my little bits of fabric, and then you have to use a hot iron. Be careful when your fabric is synthetic, I'll probably go wrong now, and then just iron that on. Now I've covered the fabric completely in grey thread with tiny little random stitches. You can see it's taken a bit of an organic shape, so you can start to manipulate it and pull it about, put it back into shape a little bit before you carry on stitching, so you don't get the shape going too distorted. And then you want to just give it a good steam iron. Into shape. That'll flatten it back down and makes it easier to stitch your next layers into place.